a lot of bluster out of the left when it comes to protecting democracy. But then total silence over this headline. New leaked documents reveal the federal government has in fact been colluding with big tech to censor the internet, meeting at least a couple times a week to coordinate messaging. Missouri and Louisiana are two states that have been leading the charge in fighting this collusion between big government and big tech. Joining us now is the Attorney General for Louisiana, Jeff Landry. General, it just seems like this is now a normalized headline. It seems so tragic that it is unsurprising the government is colluding with big tech, and your case has been exploding that on a daily basis.
Correct. Look, I will say again that I think this is one of the biggest First Amendment cases that will probably make its way up to the United States Supreme Court, certainly this century. It's one of it's going to be a key case in deciding how free we are here in this country, because at the heart of this case is whether the government can censor American speech through private actors. We know that the government can't violate your Fourth Amendment rights through a private actor. The question is, can they do it? And they should not be able to. The answer should be no, through violate a citizen's First Amendment. And the way this works is, let me give you this example. So let's just say during the Trump presidency, if the president would have sent some federal official into the New York Times' editorial office and said, hey, we're going to be sitting in your office now, and we're going to decide what you print and what you don't print, what you post and what you don't post. And we're going to actually edit some of your stories. I mean, journalists around the country's hair would be on fire and everybody would be screaming First Amendment. That's exactly what we're starting to uncover in this case. And so I think it's important, that we're going to go through a timeline. I mean, think about it. Back in 2020, during the pandemic, the government, through the CDC and others, other federal agencies, suppressed information or coerced the social platforms to suppress information as being disinformation. Also in 2020, let's not forget the Hunter Biden laptop story,
right,
which they completely suppressed as well. Then after Joe Biden gets elected as the president, back in, I think in April of 2022, they're going to create an arm of the government called the Disinformation Board. Remember that? Remember the upcry in that? And it was from that Disinformation Board idea where Attorney General started to push back. We started realizing that, hey, there's a lot going on here. We dug in. We filed this suit, I think in June of this year. Everyone kind of laughed around the country that, oh, this is another political stunt. It was not. It was meaningful. And the judge started letting us get into the discovery phase. And once we cleared that hurdle, we started identifying at the time over 60 somewhat odd potential defendants who were government officials who had basically engaged in telling the social media companies what to say and what not to say, what to take off their site, and what they were labeling as disinformation. And now, from that discovery, we're now moving into a deposition phase where we've got a dozen or so high-ranking government officials that we're getting ready to depose, including Dr. Anthony Fauci.
That's outstanding. And it's, again, one of the few cases, I think maybe one of two, perhaps, if we count Alex Berenson's case against Twitter, one of the few cases that really has brought light to showing the extent this collusion is taking place. And it is collusion, Attorney General. Look at the fact that as you mentioned, the Disinformation Board that was established by DHS and then discontinued, some of their underlying plans continue to this day. And we are learning now that Facebook and other social media giants are still meeting with DHS and FBI as late as August.
Yes, I mean, look, they are unabashful, unapologetically colluding with the government to violate American citizens' First Amendment speech. And that's really at the heart of this case, because up until this case, big tech used the excuse that they were private actors, that they had the right to edit content on their platform. Of
Right.
course, they also claim that they were not publishers either, because that would they would then lose their Section 230 exemption and expose them to potential legal liability for some of the content that they may have censored. However, this is different. The government cannot work with a private actor to violate an American citizen's First Amendment right, just like the government can't work to violate a citizen's Fourth Amendment in search and seizure.
Oh, absolutely. So, General, do you think this opens the door for lower level litigation, litigation from private citizens, for example, who might be able to take the revelations out of this discovery process and file their own suits?
It does. I would say that we may be just a bit premature on that yet. However, the closer we get to proving and making our case, and certainly once our case is made, I do believe there could be a floodgate of litigation then.
What has surprised you the most as you've waded through this process, as you have helped direct this discovery? What has surprised you the most as you go through this topic?
I think the most shocking thing is actually the brazenness of the federal government and officials that work for the federal government to basically think that they had the ability and a right to go into private corporations like these social media companies and say, oh, you can't say this, you can't say that. We just really don't want American citizens being able to discuss these issues in a virtual public square. Look, I have been ringing the alarm bells for now over 5 years about the problems that these social platforms create in regarding the amount of information they're mining from American citizens, the way they're monitoring their speech now. I mean, it's like an Orwellian 1984. And that's what this case basically says. It's a wedding, a marriage of the federal government and these big tech platforms. And every American should be concerned, if not outright scared.
Attorney General Jeff Landry of Louisiana, fighting the good fight against big tech, and it really is a fascinating fight. We look forward to seeing how it progresses. Thank you, General.
Thank you.
After the break, our panel of experts join to discuss the Biden administration's cybersecurity warning about the midterm elections and CNN admitting Democrats are using the Paul Pelosi attack to distract you. We'll be right back.